The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Our good friends and our wonderful sponsors. The reason Running Point's able to be brought to you every day is their generosity. They go the extra mile for you. We try to follow their lead every day with going the extra mile for you guys, the viewers. We thank you, obviously, for your time joining the middle of the day with us on Running Point. And one of the ways that we go the extra mile is doing our player profile features, coaches corners, and we try to get at least one of those on every single day. Today's no different. We're going to be venturing into Austin Town Fit softball. We have a lot of interviews in the can from them, so we're going to play another one today. Abby Toth, the first baseman for Austin Town Fitch, was able to join me and Ty Bartell earlier on in the week, so we are going to be playing that interview for you today on the show a little bit later. But we have a lot to get to first because last night was a busy night in baseball and softball. We had a lot of games get in. The weather is dry and kind of warm. It was warm yesterday, warmish yesterday, warmer than I guess it's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit of a cold snap. But so we're enjoying the weather for now, of course. Hopefully, Storm Tiger 21 is right, and there's no immediate threat of rain in our forecast. There's a little bit of overnight rain right now in the forecast today, but nothing that should affect baseball and softball this week, which is good news for everybody because there are still teams that have a lot of games to get in before the postseason starts. Softball, remind you, starts a week from Saturday or the start of sectionals, and baseball starts the week after. So we do not have a lot of time before postseason gets underway. So a lot of teams trying to fit in a lot of games in that amount of time. We are going to start off today's show like we always do. We're going to hop into the scoreboard over at ysnlive.com and check out the results from last night. The YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way for the fans, to check out scores across the YSN family, whether you're at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the action for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great way to find live updated scores of your favorite teams across the YSN family. It is presented proudly by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. We would not be able to have the YSN scoreboard without it, and we thank Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs for being able to do that. The YSN scoreboard can be found at ysnlive.com/scores. Let's venture into last night's scoreboard. We'll start with baseball in Ashtabula County. St. John all over Wyndham, 13-1, the final score. In this one, Louisville falls to a very good Alliance team, 7-1. That's a tough one for the Leopards to swallow, but man, they're going to be better for it. I think this is one of those games that this kind of hit the reset button for Louisville. I still think this baseball team for the Leopards is really putting together something special, and I don't think that this loss to Alliance is going to really, derail that at all. I think they've really got good things going. You got to, especially high school baseball. We haven't really talked about this yet, but I guess this is a great time because it's a score that you don't necessarily expect Louisville, the way they've been playing, to get handled the way they are. So one of the things you have to remember about high school baseball, especially as we start to get ready to talk about postseason is these regular season, some of these games aren't exactly the team you're going to see in the tournament because, of course, baseball, not like softball where you can throw the same pitcher out, 2 days, 3 days in a row and nothing's really bothered by it. Baseball, to get through a regular season with a lot, with, very, very successful record, I should say, a 1 or 2 losses or whatever it may be, you have to have a very good deep pitching staff. You have to go 1 through probably 4 or 5 and be able to pitch someone in the starting role every single game that can go out there and beat really quality teams, especially when you have a really good schedule like Louisville does. Now, we all know that when you go into the tournament time, 2 games and then a break, and then 2 games and a break. So really, when you're talking about starters, when you go into tournament time for baseball, it really comes down to your 1 and 2 for starters. Who's your 1? Who's your 2? If you can have a good 1-2 punch in baseball, you can make a pretty quality run. That's what we have definitely seen some baseball teams with 5, 6, 7 losses. Those ones those are the ones that usually make a run because they still have those 2 quality pitchers. Now, when you get past those 2, sometimes the regular season, you can have scores like this, right? You can have a 7-1 loss. You can have losses that scratch your head at times. But it almost like it doesn't define the team when you think about the team that's going to be in the tournament, because the team in the tournament, 1-2 punch. We saw obviously South Range is the biggest example of this point because they had a regular season that was under 500 back when they won a state as a baseball program. But then when they got in the tournament, it was all about their 1-2 punch, and they had it, and it ran right through the state tournament all the way to the championship game, and they won it. So sometimes sometimes in the regular season, you take your lumps with your pitching depth, but once you get into the tournament time, you can click on those 1-2 punches, your ace and your number 2, and that can be good enough to get you through the tournament. Then you can use some of these guys that you relied on to start these regular season games as bullpen players, right? Come in the 5th, come in the 6th, save our starter some innings so he can throw again in the next round of tournaments. So that's kind of, navigating a pitching staff during the regular season much different than navigating one through the tournament. So some of these scores in baseball, especially as we start to get to the end of the season and we start to think about what these teams will look like in tournament time, some of these scores take with a grain of salt. So we move on to the AAC play. Austintown Fitch was able to get the win over Boardman 7-6. The final score there, they withstand a Boardman rally late, and they slammed the door on that to get the win on the road. Canfield boys all over Hubbard, 13-4. The final score there. Garrettsville Garfield gets the win over Crestview. This is another one surprising, but 15-5. That's usually not a number that Crestview's pitching staff is going to give up. But like I said, with the Louisville score, sometimes in baseball, you're in a point in the week where, because of who threw on Friday and Saturday, just for this example, maybe you can't throw your best pitching, and maybe the offense does take advantage of it. So once again, take these scores, grain of salt. Baseball scores can be fickle. Girard looks really impressive. They get a win 6-3 over Lakeview. Jaden Royal had a big game at the plate. We've seen him pitch well this year, and now we're seeing him start to really put the bat together as well. LeBray with a 5-2 victory over Camel Memorial. That was at Scene Park, a nightcap on Scene 1, so the Vikings doing well under the lights. East Palestine is able to shut down Latonia 9-2. The final score there. The Bulldogs get a win inside the EOAC. Champion all over Liberty 10-0. The final score with that one. McDonald edges Mineral Ridge. We know both these pitching staffs have some quality arms, and this one was one that lived up to the hype. 2-1. McDonald gets the win in a pitcher's duel. Newton Falls, no pitcher's duel, as they are able to beat Brookfield 12-2. Final score there. Poland looks just as impressive with a 12-0 win over Struthers. Pymatuning Valley going to Lakeside. The Dragons say not in my den, as they blow fire and they beat Pymatuning Valley with offense 10-9. The final score there. They needed every ounce of those 10 runs for sure. Lowville looked really good against Sebring, 22-5. The Rockets get the win. South Range able to score a bunch against Niles. They win 16-0 over the Dragons. The Eagles with a big win over Southern Local, 24-2, the final score for that one. And then we go down to the the bottom lines of the scoreboard. Springfield and Western Reserve get together. Springfield gets the narrow victory. Well, not as narrow, but 8-3 win over Western Reserve. I saw that as a 6 the first time I looked at it. Warren JFK all over St. Thomas Aquinas, 22-0, the final score there. Howland gets a walk-off victory over Warren Harding, 3-2, the final score in that one. A big win for the Tigers in the AAC, putting them back at a 500 mark, 4-4 on the year for Howland. Jackson Milton also a pitcher's duel as they get into a tussle with Waterloo and win 2-1. Columbiana all over Wellsville, 23-6, the final score there. Cardinal and Grand Valley, another 2-1 win. We're seeing a lot of these pitchers duels last night. Grand Valley is able to edge it out in a 1-run victory. Lowville wins game 2 of the doubleheader against Sebring. This score was 13-1. So that MVA series is done, and Beaver area gets to win over Ambridge 10-7 on the baseball side in the Keystone State. We venture on to softball last night. Pymatuning Valley, 7-0 win over Grand Valley. You know, Pymatuning Valley kind of owns that 440 Ashtabula County area, and they continue to do that with the shutout of Grand Valley, 7-0, the final score there. Ashtabula St. John is able to take care of Wyndham, 12-4, the final score there. I'll talk about this game a little bit more because I was there when we get done with the scores, but Austintown Fitch wins over Boardman 12-0. Garrettsville Garfield falls to Crestview 7-6. A very good game there between two rivals in the MVAC greats here. Lakeview able to surpass Girard 9-3. The final score there. Isabella Eisenberg with a big game for Lakeview, both in the circle and at the plate. LeBray softball able to beat Camel 13-0, the final score in that one. Latonia and East Palestine. Palestine able to get the win 15-0 over the Bears. Canfield playing Champion playing Liberty, on Senior Day. It is a perfect game for Gabby Gratachar. Once again, this is one of the games we'll circle back and talk about. Another perfect game for her. 17-0 over Liberty to celebrate senior night. McDonald all over Mineral Ridge. This was a game that a lot of people probably thought would be a lot closer, but McDonald not messing around at all. 21-0, the final score over the Rams. Mogador beats Warren JFK 13-0, the final score there. Brookfield is able to upend Newton Falls with a lot of offense on the Warrior side, 10-3, the final score. Louisville falls to Maslin Perry. Tough one for the Leopards against the Panthers, 8-6, the final score there. Louisville susceptible to getting into those offensive slug matches, and sometimes win those, sometimes lose them. Poland takes care of Struthers 10-0, the final score in that one. Hubbard beats Salem 6-0 in the Eagles Nest. We go on to MVAC action as Lowville takes care of Sebring 12-4. South Range plays 2 against Niles. They win the first one 13-0. Springfield and Western Reserve scores a ton in this one, 28-3. The final score from Reserve softball. United beats Southern Local 17-3. The final there. Ursuline takes care of Mooney in the Holy War 17-0. Howland able to beat Warren Harding 9-0, just without 1 run shy of a run rule. So they do play the full 7 at Howland. Jackson Milton gets the win 4-0 over Waterloo. Columbiana wins over Wellsville 17-0, the final score there. It was a doubleheader between Mogador and JFK Mogador wins the second game, 11-0, the final score there. Also a doubleheader between LeBray and Camel as the Vikings win the second game around 3-0 after winning the first one 13-0. And then last doubleheader of the night, South Range beats Niles 10-0 in game 2 of that doubleheader. So that league series is taken care of for South Range. They are still undefeated in the league, and it's still Lakeview undefeated right next to them in the NE8 when we start to look at standings. So now let's circle back, talk about some of these games. We'll go up to the baseball one and try to find out some information on who had the biggest performances. Obviously, there were a lot of good pitchers duels last night. First, I want to talk about Austintown Fitch and Boardman. That was a one-run game and a thriller for Austintown Fitch. If we look at the game changer real quick, it was one where they had to really hang on by the absolute skin of their teeth. I don't know where that saying comes from. I'd like to do some research. I don't even know why I said it, but it just popped out. Now I'm thinking to myself, skin, does teeth have skin? If anyone knows the origin of that phrase, put it in the comments. Let's hear it. But this is a game where Boardman scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th to try to tie up the game, but Austintown Fitch slammed the door and said, "You're not coming all the way back." So one that got a little bit sweaty for Austintown Fitch. They had a 7-4 lead going into the 7th. Boardman obviously scores 2 in the 7th, but not the 3 they needed. Boardman made it a 1-run game in the 4th too. Austintown Fitch was up 4-0, and then Boardman scored 1 in the bottom of the 3rd, 3 in the bottom of the 4th to make it 4-4. So they tied up the game there. Fitch took a 1-run lead in the 5th with a run, took the 3-run lead in the 6th with 2 more. Boardman only answered with 2, and that was how the game went. You look at the offense for Austintown Fitch, and it was pretty scattered. You look at the lineup, and there were only 3 players that didn't get at least a hit or an RBI. So the offense was very balanced. You had only had 2 people, though, with multiple hits. Fuller and Petridis, both with multiple hits. Fuller went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs, so obviously a monster day for Carson there. And then Mason Petridis went 2 for 4 with an RBI there as well. So big day at the plate for those guys. Actually, when you look at the lineup, 2-3-4, which Fuller is 3 and Petridis is 4. They combined for 6 of the 7 RBI for Fitch. So that middle of the order doing exactly what it needs to do. Carter Owens, the 2 spot, went 1 for 3 with a run scored and an RBI as well for Austintown Fitch. So hitters 2, 3, and 4 doing a bunch of the damage for the Falcons. When you look at the pitching, for Austintown Fitch, it was John Darnley who got the win. Pretty impressive. 6 innings pitched, he got the start. Only gave up 4 hits, did give up 4 earned runs. I think the big bugaboo for him was the walks. He gave up 4 walks, 1 strikeout, but keeping the bat off the ball was something he did really well with the 4 hits. And then Carter Owens came in and got the save. He pitched that final inning, gave up 1 run, 1 hit, 1 earned run, I should say, and 1 strikeout as well. So Fitch pitching did its job in that last inning, the best that they possibly could. And Carter Owens gets the save. And when you look at it, Darnley gave up the first run in the 7th. So Carter, you got to think, obviously coming in a tough situation there with all of a sudden now a 2-run game. He gives up the 1 run, but is able to bow up and only give up that to keep Boardman at bay. So that's an impressive situation for Carter Owens to come in late in the game to shut the door down for Austintown Fitch. Let's move over and talk about Girard getting the win over Lakeview. I said Girard is starting to look more impressive by the day, especially when you talk about conference play. They're 7-7, but a lot of those losses coming in Tennessee to a lot of good teams down there. They've split with Hubbard. They beat South Range. They've now beat Lakeview once. They have another game with Lakeview tonight. So we'll see how Girard can handle the rest of the league play, but they're starting to really pick up momentum. And we look at this Girard offense, who had the same amount of hits as Lakeview. They were both had 7 hits. They just made the most of their opportunities. Jaden Royal, like I said, having a really good season, and it continues with a 1-for-2 day with 2 walks, a run scored, and 2 RBI. He was the only hitter in the Girard's offense with a pair of RBI. When you look at the rest of the lineup, the only other Indian with a hit in RBI was, sorry, I accidentally clicked out of the box score, was Caden Clare, who did go 1 for Caden Clare went 1 for 2 with the RBI. The other RBIs came off of players with no hits. Dom Phillips was 0 for 3, but did get the RBI. So that's situational hitting right there. So they did a really good job there. And then holding Lakeview's offense to just 3 runs. Tyler Wilson did a really good job. 6 innings pitched. And gave up 6 hits, only 2 earned runs. Struck out 6. So a good day at pitching for for Girard. As a staff, they struck out 9 on the game as well. For Lakeview, their offense, Andrew Brown, who just won Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley, congratulations to that. He went 1 for 4 with 2 RBI, and then a big day at the plate as well from Nathan Palucci, who went 3 for 4 for the Bulldogs with an RBI and a run scored in the 2 spot in the lineup. So big day for Jaden Royal and the Indians, but also a great day pitching for Palucci for Girard as well, keeping that high-powered Lakeview offense to just 3 runs. You scroll down through the rest of the scoreboard, try and find other games we want to talk about here tonight. Some league games just being taken care of. Obviously, Liberty, LeBray had a good game against Camel. Canfield took care of business. Yeah, I think we're good there as far as games that we have access to stats for. We go to softball. I was at Austintown Fitch Boardman. Want to talk about this game a little bit since I was there, and I can talk about it in detail. This is a game where Austintown Fitch got on the board in a hurry. Kayleana Ray got a single, and then Ayla Ray came up right behind her with a 2-run shot on the first pitch to her to dead center field. 2-0 Fitch. And then after that, Boardman kind of settled in for a while. You look at the way this game went. Troy Strines only allowed those 2 runs in the first. And then the Spartans' first inning sparked a little bit of confidence at the plate for, going up against Sydney Watts. They were able to get a base runner on. Maddie Weimer drew a walk. They were starting to really see like they saw the ball kind of well. They were making Sydney Watts throw pitches. But then Tori Strines gets hurt in the bottom of the first during her at bat. She got hit in the wrist on a ball that she swung at. So then one of the most impressive parts of the night for Boardman's sake is Addie Kowasic comes into the game cold. Didn't expect to start. Probably wasn't really that warmed up. Comes in to just replace Tori Strines in the circle. And really, I know it's kind of shocking to say with a 12-0 game, but until the 6th inning, where 6 runs were scored in one frame to give Fitch that run rule, Kowasic really held her own, especially first time to the lineup against this Falcons team. Only 6 of the runs that were given up by her were earned, so she really did a good job in that point. She struck out 3 Fitch hitters. I thought she pitched really well against Sydney Watts and Kylie Folkwine. Folkwine ended up going 1 for 3. That one hit was in the 3rd time that they saw her. Same thing with Sydney Watts. She went 1 for 4, but that one hit was the third time through. I think the struggle spot for Kowalczyk came when Austintown Fitch got a third look at her and was able to make those adjustments. But I wanted to give a little tip of the hat to coming in that tough situation. And I told her after the game, I made sure to stop her and said, man, you pitched as well as you possibly could have in that situation against that lineup with, which is as close to a college level lineup as you're going to get in high school. To go into the sixth, only giving up 4 runs against them, and only 3 of them to that point were earned for Kowalczyk. It was 6-0, but remember, 2 runs given up by Tori Strines. So to go into that 6th inning, only giving up 4 runs, 3 of them earned to that point, pretty dang impressive. Now in the 6th inning, yes, Fitch made their adjustments and blew this game wide open. When you talk about the offense for Fitch, you have to talk about the Ray sisters. Kayliana and Ayla Ray were a tandem at 1 and 2 in the lineup. Kayliana went 3 for 4 with 4-run scores. They retired her once in the game, and it was her last at bat. Ayla Ray 2 for 3 with 2 home runs, 4 RBI, 3 runs scored, and she also walked. That was an intentional walk too, by the way. So she has 10 home runs on the year for Ayla Ray. You go through the lineup, a lot of these numbers, like I said, came later in the game. But Abby Toth broke through 2 for 4 with 3 RBI. Kylie Folkwine had a 2 RBI hit in her last at bat to go 1 for 3 with a run scored. Morgan Roby was 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. And then Veda Kelty came in late in the game and knocked in an RBI. She was 1 for 1. Rachel Spalding 1 for 4 with a run scored. So you'll look at the way this kind of went for Austintown Fitch. And obviously that last inning, that 6th inning, was the nail in the coffin and saved Sydney Watts at least an inning pitch. But I think Boardman can take some good things out of this when you look at their offense. The first thing I think was impressive is they did make Sydney Watts work. She threw just under 100 pitches, 96 total. 62 of them were strikes. So a couple of walks, 3 walks. The Boardman was able to draw 2 hits. So they had 5 base runners on. They had 1 legitimate scoring opportunity as well, with 2 on and nobody out in the bottom of the 2nd. So you start to see, okay, we're starting to. That's what you have to look for when you're playing Sydney Watts. You just have to look for those little opportunities, those little glimpses that say we're seeing the ball pretty well. For the most part, I was telling Coach Moods after the game, they didn't really go after her rise ball, which is step 1 against her. There's a lot of steps to trying to beat her, but the step 1, of course, is don't go after her elevated rise ball. They did for the most part, a pretty good job with that. Some hitters struggled against it, but for the most part, overall, did a pretty good job laying off her rise ball. Put some balls in play. Fitch defense made a couple of really good plays. In the outfield, Kayliana Ray made a running catch over her shoulder. So, for Boardman, I think as silly as it sounds with a 12-0 loss, I think there are some things you can take away from that going forward and going into tonight when they have to play Fitch again in Fitch. Speaking of Sydney Watts, her final line, which this is funny because when you talk about this, it's like it's a quote-unquote off day. It wasn't her best stuff, and she still went 6 innings, gave up just 2 hits, struck out 13, walked 3, and gave up no runs. You know how many pitchers would love to have an off day and have a line like that? It's ridiculously unfair, almost to the point where it's video game level when you talk about how good Sydney Watts is. And when you say we have to catch her on how when you're playing a good team, we have to just catch her on a bad day. Well, that was a quote-unquote bad day, and it was because she gave up 3 walks, which is not typical Sydney Watts command. That's her bad day. She's going to give you some walks. She'll give you maybe a couple of opportunities here and there, but 2 hits. As soon as Ayla Ray hit a home run in the first, you almost knew, well, that's a mountain for Boardman to climb because she's given up 2 runs in 1 game all year, and she's only given up 3 runs all season. So now you have to, as soon as Ayla Ray hit that home run, you kind of knew I have to score the same amount of runs in this game that she's given up all season long in 10 games. And then when it goes to 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, you start to feel that creeping in. Like, well, almost you hate to say it, but this pack your bags. You're not scoring 6 runs on Sidney Watts. That's not going to happen. And this defense, it was playing really well. I also want to commend both teams for dealing with some adverse situations. There were 2 quote-unquote injuries. One was more serious than the other. Troy Strine's obviously getting hurt in the first, having to leave the game, coming back in, I believe, in the 5th inning to get in the bat. And then Ayla Ray had a scary situation too, where a ball jumped up on her, got her in the top of the chest / collarbone area, made her lose her breath a little bit. Take the air out of your sails for a second. She was okay, got a swig of water, everything was fine. But some scary moments there. The umpire got clipped by a foul tip. Kylie Folkwine took some damage behind the plate, just some foul tips to the mask. So it's one of those games where you were hoping you got through it with nothing terrible happening, because the mojo was not going well. Even Fred Moots got almost smashed by a foul ball that was hit really hard down the third base side. So it was one of those games where you go, man, there might be something mojo in the air, and you just hope that you can get through it. And we did. We got through it without anything terribly serious. And I hope Tori Stride's not terribly serious. I hope her coming back in the game was evidence that she was marginally okay. So because a Boardman team without Tori Strines is this not complete. So I was at that game. It was fun to be able to call Austin Town Fitch this year, and obviously always a good opportunity to catch up with Steve Ward. Interview with him and Ayla Ray can be found at ysnlive.com and our YouTube page for the post-game press conferences with Austin Town Fitch. And when you look at the rest of the schedule, it's just a lot of teams taking care of business in the conference, trying to keep the standings alive. Do want to circle back. I did just say that I would, just because it was a perfect game. Again, Champion gets the win on senior night, 17-0 over Liberty. And Gabby Gradishar throws another perfect game this year. Let's go over her final line. Oops, clicked on the wrong game. Bear with me. So Gabby Gradishar goes 5 innings, gives up no runs, no hits, no errors, obviously. 15 strikeouts, so she struck out everybody. That's what you call literal Gabby. That's when you say Gabby Gradishar was perfect. Because she didn't even give the defense an opportunity to make a play. Struck out everybody in the lineup. 5 innings, 15 outs, 15 strikeouts for her. She also hit a home run on the day. She was 3 for 4 with that home run, an RBI, and 4 runs scored. Addie Warzela hit a home run. He was 3 for 4 with 2 RBI and 2 runs scored. And then Mia Nadal, one of the seniors that was getting recognized, went 1 for 2 with a home run and an RBI and 2 runs scored. Some other offensive performers, Bella Meyer, who was also being celebrated for her senior night, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, 3 runs scored. Offense everywhere, just 3 players in the lineup did not get a hit. So Champion takes care of Liberty. They will play at Liberty again tonight before a really big end of the week for Champion, where they'll be hosting Austin Town Fitch on Thursday and then go to the Prebus tournament over the weekend on Friday and Saturday to play some really good teams down at Victory Park. So a big end of the week for Champion after they shore up the league series tonight against Liberty. Shout out to Marky Stankorb for committing to Lake Erie, and Mark Stankorb, who obviously is a big fan of the show, chiming in on that. We want to take the time to congratulate him. He made that decision about a couple of days ago about playing football and wrestling. There he found a place where he can do both. So proud of Marky and all that he's done. Obviously, he's been a great friend of the show. We've had him on for a couple of wrestling interviews over the years, and man, what an athlete. So congratulations to him on getting his spot where he's going to be in the future. We are proud. We are proud of that young man. We are going to take a break here on Running Point. When we come back, we have a player profile to feature. We'll go into Austintown Fitch, and we'll hear from their first baseman on the softball diamond, Abby Toth, after this message brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you as always by our good friends that you just heard from in that commercial break, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you so you don't have to. We have a player profile to get to. It is from Austintown Fitch Softball. Me and Ty Bartell having the chance to catch up with Abby Toth in this player profile. I hope you enjoy it.
Ty Bartell with Anthony Hartwig and the Falcons 3-hole hitter this year. Abby Toth, the Falcons sophomore first baseman, joins us today for another edition of Player Profile. Abby, how are we doing today?
Doing real good. Just came from a softball lift today, so good workout before this interview.
Got to get some work in, too, with all this rain that are keeping games off the schedule, too, unfortunately. But, Abby, I want to talk a little bit about you coming into this season, and particularly you going into the 3-hole for this Falcon lineup. I think you really impressed a lot of people on the senior freshman year, batting 7th in that very potent Falcon lineup. But just the trust of this really good cast of coaches putting you in that 3-hole. What does that mean to you, and what has it meant to you to kind of be one of those RBI leaders in this offense this year?
It was really good because starting off in the 7th hole, it's down in the lineup. So now that I'm in the 3rd hole, I know my coaches trust me to keep our batting lineup going. And if there's 2 outs, they can trust me to get on base and keep the hitting going in the inning we're in.
You know, one of the great things about this softball team at Austintown Fitch is so much talent from the youth down and up to the seniors, which means when you're given the opportunity, like, you have to grab it. And so when Coach Ward came to you and said, hey, we're going to put you at first, we're going to give you this opportunity to hit in the middle of the lineup at the 3 spot, what was kind of going through your mind? What were some things that you wanted to make sure that you were able to do to not waste that opportunity that was going to be given to you?
I worked extra hard at practice, and I did extra things at home, which I should always be doing. It meant a lot, especially getting the varsity uniform, because our pinstripes were our varsity uniforms. So if you knew you made varsity, you got those pinstripes. So it felt really good walking out that uniform and then knowing that I get a starting spot on varsity my freshman year.
I do love those pinstripe unis. They are tight for sure. Talking about you, though, in a softball realm too, where did this softball journey begin? What's some of your earliest memories in the sport, and when did you fall in love with it?
I started falling in love with it when I was about 10 years old, when I started my first travel league. I've been playing since I was maybe 6. I played for Mill Creek. But I've always been in love with softball since I was little. But my dream finally started when I was 10 years old.
You talk about the 10-year-old, when you start to realize softball was something that you wanted to dream about and pour your work into. Was there a moment or maybe, a season that put that in perspective to you, that you realized when you were 10, like, hey, this is something that I really want to pour time in and do more than just do it for fun?
So when I was 10, that's when I knew I wanted it. But when I was 12 years old, I hit my first home run and I was in a hitting slump. So after I hit my first home run, I knew that I could make a big impact further on in life. And I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Now, is the dream to try to continue this on into the college realm? Is that something that we're striving for?
100%.
Now you look at the colleges too, and I think you're going to have a pretty decent choice that is going to be
Yeah,
open up to you, honestly. But what are some dream locations for you, or have you kind of scouted that, looked at that? Is that something that you've looked ahead for?
Yeah, I've been going to a lot of camps. I really like Kentucky. I love Coach Lawson. I like Michigan. Michigan's a good one too, even though it's really cold. They still have a great group of girls and great coaching staff.
When you think about, things that you want to look for in a program, things that would catch your eye and things that make you like the Kentucky and Michigan that you already mentioned so much, what kind of things are you looking for?
Really good softball program. Coaching staff is great. I don't know, really. I'm not up there yet with the colleges, but I have been scouting like things that I would enjoy. They have a beautiful campus. Kentucky has a beautiful campus. So
Do
I
you
like their
have
campus.
a career path that you might see yourself going into, that you start to look for, saying like, does this program have this kind of stuff that I can go for education wise?
Not yet.
That's okay. You have plenty of time, I think. So no rush there.
Talk about you though in the high school realm too. Where is what do you love the most about high school softball too, and what do you love the most about this particular team and having the experience with this Austintown Fitch Falcon squad?
My teammates, 100% my teammates. It literally they're amazing.
When you play as much softball as you do, you obviously are pouring a lot of time in it. You're pouring a lot of dedication into it. What kind of things stop you from the burnout that we hear from other players that are playing so much travel ball and then they go into high school ball? And what kind of keeps you from that part of the softball journey?
My mom, she always pushes me to be my best. She always makes me go hit off the tee, go do this and that. She's always one step in front of me with my softball career.
Abby, I don't think it would be out of the world to say that you had a very unordinary freshman year in winning a state championship and being in a lineup that won a state championship, and just having that experience. Talk about having that in your freshman year, and what kind of expectations did that set for you going into sophomore year now?
That was a very exciting day, especially with all our supporters. Our girls, we just played relaxed and had fun. My expectations are higher than last year, but every time it'll get higher. Every time you do something good, your expectations should go up, and that's how my expectations are.
Because you guys are the reigning state champions, every team on your schedule knows exactly who you are. You're always going to have that target on your back, whether it's in the tournament or in the regular season. What's that been like for you guys this year to realize that everyone in the planet is gunning for you and they want that top spot that you guys currently have?
We knew since the beginning of season we were going to be the biggest target. It feels good in a way, but yet scary because they're going to play the best against us, but I know we'll play our best against them and come out on top.
This past week, too, you recently lost your first high school game of your entire career, too. Obviously, Mother Nature also played a little bit of a factor in that. But just talk about, do you find value in experiencing that for your first time? Obviously, you guys bounced back quick, 15-0 win in conference, too. Do you find value in experiencing your first loss at the high school level?
I do. It sucks, but I do. I think we needed saying that because it's hard to stay undefeated for as long as we did.
You know, you might not have a lot of losses on the softball field, but I'm sure you've dealt with your fair share of adversity throughout your journey so far, whether it be hitting slumps or mental blocks or whatever it may be. What do you think is the biggest adversity that you've faced so far? And talk about how you were able to get yourself through it.
My hitting slump. At the beginning of my freshman year, I was not hitting very good at all, which sucks. That's awful to say, but now in my sophomore year, hitting the third hole, I have a much better batting average than I did freshman year.
So when you were going through that, what were some things that you were telling yourself to keep with the process and to get through that hitting slump that you did get through?
That I work way too hard for what's going on and that I need to just relax and be myself.
I think it was against the Menor Cardinals too. She smacked a couple home runs in and walked it off as well too to get out of that hitting slump.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
You talk about your teammates too and being one of the best experiences of this team. And I mean, I'll say every game I'm at too, they're blaring the speakers out too with some great songs too. They know how to have a party before games too. And you talk about just playing loose and just having fun. How do you guys keep that mentality, but also keep that kind of competitive edge to yourselves about being state champions, reigning state champions this year?
We know when it's time to turn it on. We turn it on. We have our fun. We goof off. We do all this stuff. We goof off in the game sometimes. But we know once we step on that field, we have to back up Sid and our catcher Kylie. We have to back them up and be walked in so we can get those 3 outs and go hit again.
You talk about backing up Sid. I mean, you get to play defense behind one of the best pitchers, not just in the state, but ranked in the country. What's it been like to be a part of this journey with her and to have one more year with her after this one as well, and to be able to just be a part of all the hoopla that is being on the same team as Sydney Watts?
It's amazing to be on the same team with Sydney Watts. Me and Sid knew each other since we were little. But being behind her back, knowing that she's a phenomenal pitcher is amazing because I know she works her butt off for us to get those outs.
Not just Sid, but you guys as a team are ranked nationally in a lot of polls by a lot of reputable sites and sources. You talk about that too. And is there pressure that comes along with that for you? I know you guys play loosey-goosey. You guys like to have fun, but is there a bit of pressure seeing yourselves
in the nation, I think, but it feels good.
Let's get to know you a little bit off the field too. Obviously, everyone knows what softball talent you bring to the table. Do you have any hidden talents? Anything that you're good at outside the softball field that people might be surprised about?
I don't know. I'm a pretty open person, so if you know me, you know everything about me. I'm pretty open.
What's your favorite song that comes on in the dugout this year?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one because we play a bunch of them. We play our walk-up songs, and then we go into goofy songs. So it depends on the mood.
Talk about your walk-up song and why you chose it.
I chose Carnival because I liked the beat of it. I liked that it sounded cool to walk up to.
You know, I want to know about your favorite dugout snack. And if you only could have one snack for the rest of your whole softball career, what would you want it to be?
My Chick-fil-A order.
Whoa! What's the order? What's the go-to?
I get my Chick-fil-A order before every game. I get the #1 add American cheese with Dr. Pepper, and I dip my sandwich and my fries in barbecue sauce.
I'm a Dr. Pepper fanatic as well too. So I'm with that boat.
Colleges, be aware that you better have a Chick-fil-A on campus, or
at least close. At least a mile radius from it.
One of the TikTok trends right now in softball is the teams lining up, and you see them all pitch, and you have to decide who's the pitcher. So if the non-pitchers on your team did that, who would sell it the most? That would make it hard to decipher who the pitcher is.
Kaylee Ray.
That was quick.
she got that too. What about Kaylee? What about her?
She used to be a pitcher. She's got the background. She pitched an inning for my travel ball team and did amazing. So I think she'd sell it the most.
Makes total sense.
what's some advice you would give to maybe a younger softball player that, has their share of adversity? Maybe they're going through their slumps too, about how you stuck with it and seeing the success you're seeing now.
Just be yourself and have fun with your teammates and your coaches, because you won't play with them forever. They're there for that amount of time. So
as we look ahead, Abby, before we let you go, one of my last thoughts is, what are some things that you still have on your goal board as personal accomplishments that you want to see yourself get before you graduate, Fitch?
Oh, I would like a certain amount of home runs. I don't know how many, but I want a certain amount.
You don't know the number, but you know when you know. If you hit that number, we're good.
Coach Bob would say home runs overrated though, but I know they all like to roll their eyes at Coach Bob. We talk about this though, Abby, and your career has been phenomenal at Fitch so far. But I know they always like to talk person over player mentality too. What have you learned about yourself as a person going into your high school career and going into being a young adult now?
That I am very outgoing and I'm not afraid to try and do something new. That's something I think I've found in myself.
Abby, talk about role models real quick and the people that you look up to and the people that help you through this softball journey.
Ayla Ray, of course, and then my other corner, Morgan, me and her, we have a little sign for everything, like bunt, slap. We have everything over there. Ayla Ray and Vita, both seniors. Ayla Ray is going to be tough to let go of, but she's been a leader since my freshman year, so there's no doubt about that.
Abby, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to just shout out your support system and the people that have stood by you throughout this journey.
My mom and my dad, my stepdad, and then, of course, my siblings and my grandparents. Especially my papa. My papa is my number one supporter.
Well, you got a lot of love throughout the family. You got a lot of love throughout the community as well. And you got a lot of love from us here at YSN, Abby. As we are excited for the things you're going to continue to do in your softball career, both on and off the field. This has been another edition of Player Profile with the Falcons sophomore first baseman, Abby Toth.
Ty just said it. Abby Toth, first baseman, 3-hole hitter for Austintown Fitch. Want to thank her for her time today, giving us that interview a little bit earlier. Obviously, every player profile we do, the players giving us 10 to 15 minutes of their time during the day, and they're very busy with schoolwork and athletics and trying to have a social life. So we always thank them for their time. We want to thank all of you guys for watching today. It's a great viewership day. I'm looking at it. You guys always stepping up, joining us on your midday break. We always enjoy it, and I appreciate you tuning into Running Point. And want to thank Greenwood Chevrolet for being a great sponsor. That'll do it for today's episode. Make sure to tune in to the games on the network tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find our live game schedule. And we will be back tomorrow for a Wednesday episode Running Point, Running Wednesday with Rick Sipus, episode 2 tomorrow. And then me and Scotty as well will be on the show. So a fun Wednesday. Make sure to tune in, and we'll see you all tomorrow from 1 to 2.